Yes, yes, indeed. Field Marshal DC of the Meat Militia. Let's goo is what we're going to do. We're going to goo is what we're going to do. Very much. My very special guest is, let me just turn off this other one so that it shuts up. Otherwise, we'll hear ourselves back in. There we go, that's better. Today, my very special guest is Revival Fitness. Good friend of mine. We've spoken several times before on several topics, and it's been fun, so I think this will be fun too. Today, obviously, without too much ado, we're dealing with the Mike Israetel affair. You've been all over this Revival, so what I thought I'd do is shut up, put you up on your hind legs, and you can give us the time course. What has happened? What's gone off? What have we missed? Those of us that weren't paying attention. I have kind of a little bit, but I'll let you tell the story.
Okay, one thing, I'm hearing reverb in my headphones, so I'm like hearing like an echo. I just want to make sure we get this.
Okay, anybody else hearing an echo? An echo?
Yeah.
Don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I want to see if the chat can hear it. Yeah, maybe it's my tab.
It could be. No, Andrew doesn't hear it. Have you?
I think. Let me see if it shows up now. I don't think so. No.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
That's better. Yeah.
All right. Well, apologies for the.
Yep.
Right on. What were you saying?
I was just saying, tell us all about the Mike Israetel situation.
Okay, so essentially what happened is, I'm sorry, this is really delayed on my headphones, so I'm gonna have to.
Yep. Have you got your echo cancellation set on your audio settings?
Okay.
Try that, see if that helps.
Is that within StreamYard? I think so.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you click on the cog and then it'll be audio.
Let's see.
Yeah. Did you find it?
Okay, maybe this will work. Let me test this. Sorry for the hold up, but at least people will get in here, I guess, while we start.
Yeah, indeedy.
I think so.
All right. How's that?
I'm hearing this echo of so anything that either one of us says, it like waits. There's like a 10, I guess the YouTube lag, and then it is playing. Oh, wait.
Have you got a YouTube window open?
Yeah. My bad. My apologies. I had the YouTube tab open.
There you go. That'll do it. All right.
I'm pulling a Mike Israetel, Bart. I apologize. I'm bombing right now.
Welcome to fucking amateur hour. I've done that myself more than once. Don't worry about it. Man. It's all good. Good. All right. So, Mike Israetel, what went off? What's the story? Who said what? Who's up who? Who's next? Who hasn't paid? Let's go.
I know, man. God. Okay. So, it was 10 days ago, I believe, roughly speaking. Solomon Nelson is the name of the guy. He's made a lot of videos about Mike recently. And I guess to his credit, very good idea. No one's actually read his PhD before. I certainly had not. So he goes over it. It was a dumpster fire, being nice about it, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And that video went wildfire viral. It has over 1 million views now. And the defense, I think, is the best part, because after that happened, the Israetel Defense Force, as some people call it, came out and they did this entire staged interview on one of his lapdogs channels. One of his big, YouTube friends also has a PhD, which probably didn't earn, right? And all his friends on YouTube, Instagram, they all came running out in defense of him. And the main excuse was, well, I actually uploaded the wrong version. And then they tried to paint it as, well, the people that read it should have confirmed with the school or Mike or somebody that it was the right version, which is like a newspaper publishing a story then saying, oh, that actually wasn't what we intended to publish, right? Made no sense. That lie was so obvious that I think about 2 or 3 days later, he came on Instagram again and said, it turns out it actually was the one I uploaded. So in the entire process, he's managed to make, himself look bad, of course. All of his goons look bad. And most importantly, the university, he was really talking up his mentor, Mike Stone, I believe, is the guy. They've all looked horrendous in this entire thing. So I guess the first thing I would get your input on is, you've been in this process, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Have you ever had this happen where the wrong one gets uploaded, then approved in the uploading process, then published?
No, I haven't personally. That's not to say this is an impossibility that could occur. Okay, for a start, why would you have students uploading theses to a repository that the university is going to put on a public-facing webpage and say, here is my thesis for your reading pleasure? Mm-hmm. Some member of staff would be responsible for that, not a student in a reasonable organisation in a reasonable university. If the wrong copy of a document was uploaded, that opens up a whole different chain of questions about the credibility of that particular institution. As it turns out, as has now been admitted by Mike Israetel himself publicly, he lied. He knowingly lied about it being an earlier version being uploaded. He knew damned well that the document that was reviewed by Solomon was indeed his approved, signed off PhD thesis. That being the case, I suspect he was mandated to make that admission by the university, who said, mate, what do you think you're doing? You need to stop this nonsense right away and own up to this. But that doesn't make them look any better, if that's what happened, because actually it's not even a thesis, it's a dissertation, okay? It seems like Mike's PhD was partly via dissertation, which is a short version of a thesis, and partly by coursework, okay? So that straight away erodes the value of his particular PhD, because a good quality PhD undertaken at a decent institution is entirely by thesis. It's research work. There is no coursework. And the padding out of a PhD and doing a kind of dissertation is a watered-down version of a PhD, in my humble or not very humble opinion, whichever you think it is. Couldn't give a shit, actually. Couldn't give a fuck what you think about my particular way I present myself online. To me, a PhD is a terminal, that's a funny word, isn't it? A terminal research degree, which means there ain't no higher degree you can get in terms of the hierarchy of degrees, so-called, and it is imagined to be a thesis, which is a full-length 3 to 5 year research program document. And that's not what this is. This is a short dissertation. And having had a quick squiz at it myself, I need to say this. In my previous life as an academic, which I no longer am, first to admit it, for good reasons, I have supervised more than 100 dissertations of students at the postgraduate level. If Mike Israetel's PhD dissertation was presented to me by a freshman, by a first-year undergraduate student, as a bit of coursework to pass off a module in research, it would not have passed first-year level, let alone doctoral qualification. The number of formatting, grammatical errors, numerical data errors, data being cut and paste from table to table in such a way as that the actual data in the table was not even possible.
Minus 2 years old, potentially, according to the data. Yeah, some people.
My word. What are we looking at here? This is an absolute dumpster fire, as I think you've already described it. This is coming from a bloke who claims, A, to have an IQ over 160. Well, I'm sorry, Michael Israetel, that is. I do not accept for 1 second that your IQ is anywhere close to that, personally. Again, that's just my opinion based on observation of, things that comes out of this boy's mouth.
Yeah, I think it's hard to defend that at this point. I mean, we've had a lot of evidence leading to this, which I got to give you credit. We spoke, I think last year, just over a year ago for the first time, and you were already all over him then. Yeah. And I was kind of like because I didn't pay attention to him for a long time. And then the past few months, I started paying more attention. This guy it's like a never ending. Every time he opens his mouth, you can make content about it. It's that bad now.
It is. It's and it's just lies, cope, more cope, and gay jokes. Pretty much. That's all he's got. The dissertation that he put together added nothing whatever that is novel or contributed to knowledge in the field in any way, shape or form. As I say, it would not have passed my freshman or first year undergraduate assessment matrices that you put together as a lecturer. Okay, since gaining his PhD, rightly or wrongly, Mike has been involved in some research independently. He has produced something like about, I think to me it looks like 10 or fewer peer-reviewed research articles. Okay, I don't know the quality of them, I haven't looked through them. However, I react to a person on the basis of what comes out of their mouth rather than what pieces of paper, what certificates they hold, because frankly, I have absolutely no respect anymore for certificates held by anybody. I'll give you an example. I was reading through X, well, Ted was reading through X earlier, and he tells me, does Ted, that he saw a post from a PhD person responding to a post made by a low-carb person where the low-carb person posted, you don't need carbs, you don't need carbs, you don't need carbs, you don't need, up to the word limit on the tweet, on the tweet. Yeah. And then this PhD holder responded, yes, you do, because 0 blood glucose equals dead. This is a person with a PhD, apparently, that said that. Oh, my God, are you serious?
Do you know the field they had it in, by chance?
No, I don't.
Regardless, though, that's laughable.
Irrespective, a person with a PhD also knows to limit their commentary publicly to that area in which they are an expert, according to their PhD, or whatever terminal research degree or advanced research degrees they hold, and preferably can back up also with peer-reviewed publications in that area as contributing to the knowledge ongoingly thereafter. I think that a person, well, put it this way, a person with no qualifications whatsoever, no training whatsoever, and no research behind them whatsoever, I really don't mind if they come online and say things, provided that the things they say are demonstrably correct, unassailable in fact. No problem with that. I also don't care what pieces of paper or qualifications or background someone's got if they come online, thanks to Nicol Antonio, and says things that are demonstrably false. I don't care if you've got hundreds of peer-reviewed publications, James to Nicol Antonio. If you are wrong on something that you are not an expert in, I will come after you, for example. So that's kind of where I sit with it.
That's something, well, I know one of his lapdogs, he was talking about how Mike Stone, that's the mentor at East Tennessee State. That's the big, the head honcho guy, right?
Yeah.
And he was saying, he showed some graphics from PubMed, 500 publications, all these gaudy numbers. Yeah. I mentioned this in my own content. I'm like, okay, that's good, but it's unfortunate, but that in isolation doesn't mean anything. I've never read his papers, but we can talk about this too.
Yeah.
Exercise science alone is a very limited field, it seems to me. And like you mentioned as well, people are supposed, they should know to stay in their field. That's something Mike also doesn't do. He talks about everything as if he is an insightful, biblical, mind, He loves doing that, and he clearly is not. And then all his other PhD friends, they all, they have that very, stuffy, demeanor and presentation, and they talk down to people essentially.
Yeah. Yes. I have found personally, this is a generalization and ergo is not necessarily cut and pastable to any particular person. However, here is what I have found dealing with academics over a significant period of time in my former life as an academic. A middling academic, mind. I was never a world-shattering academic, and I've never claimed to be. But here's what I found. The longer a person has been in academia, the more peer-reviewed publications they have, the more two things occur. The more lazy that person gets. And here's an example. Mike Israetel's PhD dissertation passed. It should not have. That's because Mike Stone is lazy. No other reason.
I was going to say, if it's not that, it's got to be, it's either that or outright just politicking, or probably both realistically, but there's no other way that could go through.
Yeah. No. I mean, at the time that he was doing his PhD, I don't believe that he was a famous YouTuber with...
No.
There was no. I don't think there was any extra grind on the university in that regard. So, to me, this does reflect very poorly on Mike Stone. Sorry, Mike, that's just the way it is. You were lazy. You did not pay attention. This dissertation should never, in a purple fit, have passed, and yet it did. Okay? That's on Mike Stone, nobody else. At the end of the day, he is the supervisor, the advisor. It's on him. Okay? The second thing that happens, as well as laziness, the longer a person is in academia, is the more arrogant they become. In general. Not everybody, but there it is. I've never met Mike Stone. I don't know. However, what I can point to squarely is, Mike Stone that is, you passed this dissertation. You signed off on it. Okay? That's on you.
And during that process too, I mean, they see the document many, many times, do they not, during that entire process, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he knew from jump that, I mean, like let's take away all the grammar errors, which I have a huge thing with the grammar. I think if you're a grown adult, especially high IQ supposedly in academia, if you can't type basic sentences, I think that's very damning, but I'm kind of an English type, that's like my degree's in communication, so I'm always about that. But Take away all the grammar errors. The document itself, is it even redeemable outside of that? It seems like it's not.
And okay, take all the grammatical errors, all the formatting errors, all the cut and paste errors of just false data, impossible data, okay? No, it adds nothing that is novel, or it does not contribute to the knowledge base. And that's what a terminal research degree is required to do. That is kind of the acid test. Does this add anything that we did not know previously?
Yeah.
For example, I have 3 terminal research degrees, one of which was a study into the mechanisms of and control of the blood plasma volume expansion 24 hours post-exhaustive exercise. And I added something that was not known previously, i.e. that the plasma volume rebound 24 hours later had nothing whatsoever to do with dehydration. It was in fact to do with the perfusion pressure of the blood, pushing the blood out of the vasculature into the lymph, i.e. it was intensity dependent, not dehydration dependent. So new knowledge that wasn't known before I did that work. Mike Israetel's dissertation says, did you know that if you have bigger muscles, you are stronger?
Did you see
I
that?
kid you not, that's the level of the
Yeah,
thing.
did you see that formula too? It was, what was it? It was like skill 1 plus skill 2 plus skill 3 plus N skill. It was this really esoteric equation he came. The entire thing was, well, like you said, I mean, there's no other way. We have the PhD now. We have his bodybuilding career. We have even his own content. He's just a lazy person. That's it.
Oh, he's a caricature upon himself. He's an absolute joke.
He's beyond a parody. Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, I present myself in a certain way on my channel that's designed to get hooks, to get clicks, and it's also designed to aggravate certain folks, to get them to try and get them to respond viscerally to me. That's one thing. But Mike's serious. He thinks of himself as a world leading expert. No, you're not, Mike.
He says that verbatim. Yeah, he says that verbatim. And he does like the whole joking persona. He does that that's not like a gimmick or a shtick. Like that's just part of when he talks. He says that all the time.
Yeah.
And because he's done plenty of interviews, and the thing is he's on all these podcasts and all this stuff too. I mean, he is really, you could say he's the biggest name in the industry, the fitness industry. It's him. So he's also too, Jeff Nippard was running cover for him as well. That's blown up in Jeff's face as well. Yeah.
Now, remind me, where's Jeff's PhD from?
I believe Jeff has a bachelor's in biochemistry, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as I say, I don't care if a person has no certification, none at all, not even a certificate in personal training, so long as what they're saying to people is demonstrably correct and unassailable. I've also covered Jeff Nippard a number of times on my YouTube offerings in the past. He's another boy that doesn't actually know the difference between his elbow and his
That's
arsehole
right.
if I labelled both of those and taught the boy to read.
Have you seen, he just opened the Nippard lab now. He's opened a small laboratory with a gym in it, and he's going to do studies in there, according to him.
Oh, my God, seriously?
Oh, we're going to have content for weeks, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to pump out of there. Maybe they'll name
Yeah.
Israetel the chief sports scientist of the Nippard
Oh, I
lab.
bet they will. I bet they will, because he's a world-leading expert, you know. And his IQ's over 160, even though he can't understand that calories in, calories out is absolute nonsense. Or won't understand that, despite the fact that it's unassailable in fact.
He recently put up an Instagram video. He pretends to throw up on leg day, and he posts a video of him vomiting, right? Then you scroll to the next slide, and he's doing a set of hamstring curls. The weight doesn't slow down even a microsecond, and then he ends the set.
Right.
And you're like, that's what caused the vomit. You know, I mean, it's truly like you go down the list of all this stuff, and it's endless with him. But
Yeah.
this is something I mentioned in my own content, which I can't speak to this personally, but I would assume in academia, right? People want to single out exercise science, but I would think in academia broadly, this is a similar problem. What do you think?
Oh, every child wins a prize. Look, when I entered academia some 20 plus years ago, 20, oh God, what is it? More than 25 years ago when I entered academia now, the metrics by which an academic was judged at the end of a semester was what grades did your students achieve according to the matrix that you put in place at the beginning, the assessment criteria. How did they do? By the end, by the time I said, actually, fuck this for a game of soldiers, I'm out of here, this is ridiculous, the whole thing had devolved down to, what did your students think of you? Well, it's because, at least in the various countries that I actually taught on 4 different continents over 20 years, so this was a universal thing in the tertiary education sector. Basically, it became all about student satisfaction, feedback from the students. How much did they like me? Well, I am, as a lecturer, as an educator, as an instructor, I am not there to be your friend,
Right.
frankly.
Right.
And if I am too friendly with you, I'm going to get in trouble for that. So, you know, there's that. But, I mean, at the end of the day, for example, as I say, I've got 3 advanced research degrees. One of them is in pure and applied statistical inference. So guess what I did with my students? I disbarred them from using software to do statistics analyses. I made them do it longhand with a calculator.
Oh, your ratings are going to plummet. I'm sure that happens.
Oh my God, did they love me for that? No,
Yeah,
sir.
right. Yeah.
No, but did they understand statistical fuckery by the end of that? Yes, they did.
Yep.
And did those students end up in better outcomes and better job situations because they can set themselves apart from the crowd of sycophants that all they can... People like that silly little girl, what's her name? Anti-scientific witch or something.
Pseudo-scientific snitch.
That's it. Pseudo-scientific snatch. I knew it was something like that.
Also went to the University of Michigan for her
there you
undergrad,
go.
same as Mike. They're doing
There
a
you
hell
go.
of a job
Yeah.
there, aren't they?
Now listen, I've invited her cordially to have a polite conversation with me about calories in, calories out, though, bulking, though, or anything she wants.
Won't do it. Yeah.
I guess I'm just going to have to respond to her videos without her being there to defend herself.
I've had, well,
That's a shame.
I had one live debate with her on Instagram, and
Yeah.
I got her to actually go silent for 5 full seconds. Because, you know, the thing with her is she has this, I mean, dude, she's the queen of, like we talked about last time, it's splash up studies, splash, 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 talk, 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 talk. You got to give her credit. She's amazing at that. She's very good at that style.
Yeah.
But, oh yeah, she's very anti-carnivore, but I've had a live debate with her. I got her to completely go silent. Also, there was a biased moderator she had that was debating me at the same time as her. So I debated 2 people. Then I had a DM exchange. The first time we talked was a DM exchange. And, you know, she was going on about, like, Kaiko, and I was saying, well, listen, like, if you go by Kaiko, she had, like, it was some contradictory logic. She was essentially arguing for and against Kaiko at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you have to pick. And then she just gaslit me for 20 minutes. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to you, this is something the general fitness industry, if they know about you, which some of them seem to, they all think you are some tinfoil hat, rowboat, crackpot who doesn't actually have any qualifications. That's what they think you are.
Right.
Which was it Lane Norton? Did he say that about you, or who was it? Who is it that was it him?
Lame Norton, Lame Lame Norton, suggested publicly more than one occasion that the university I claim to be a professor at has no record of me, which is interesting because I have never named any university at which I was a professor or am a professor, and least of all, the one at which I actually did my undergraduate training, because I didn't work there except as a graduate teaching assistant for a year after I graduated from my undergraduate degree. So, of course, they have no record of me being a professor there because I wasn't, and I never said I was. Secondly, people cannot find a lot of information about my specific qualifications, where I've worked in the past, etc., because I have gone to great ends to make sure that information is not publicly available. Why? I have left that industry. I never want to return to that industry ever. And frankly, this is a privacy issue. It's nobody's business, actually. I'm not applying for any jobs. I have nothing to prove to anybody except by that which comes out of my mouth, the exact thing that I'm judging others by. So there is that, basically. So, I mean, if Lame Norton is right, and I made up my qualifications, I didn't, and I don't have actually a significant list of peer-reviewed publications in my name that anybody can search quite easily.
Yeah, it is easy.
Which they can do, because I do have those. Ergo, I have added significantly to the knowledge as, publishing independent research works and putting out novels. It is there. You can go and search it if you like. It's not earth-shattering, but there is a list of publications here in my name. Even if none of that's true, and Lame Norton is right, and I just made all this shit up, why then does he not have the testicular fortitude to come and have a debate with me? Because I've invited him more than once.
Oh, you do it anytime you talk about him, yeah.
I mean, this is Lame Norton, who believes the first law of thermodynamics, A, applies to a human metabolic system, which it does not, and B, that it states that mass is conserved, which, Lame, it does not.
Israetel said the same thing too, didn't he, about that, the first law? I think he said that verbatim, yeah.
Yes, he did. Now, no, the first law of thermodynamics does not state that mass is conserved for two reasons. One, it actually excludes any mention of mass explicitly. And two, mass is not conserved. Ask anyone that was in Hiroshima, Japan on the morning of the 6th of August, 1945. They'll tell you. Anyone that's still alive that was there. It's not conserved. All right? So, if you're going to quote the first law of thermodynamics at me, perhaps first you should be able to quote the thing. No?
Well,
okay.
if I Google the is mass conserved, it's going to come up with a little AI thing that says the law of conservation of mass states blah blah blah. So you're proven wrong, Bart. You know that, right?
Right, but just because you call something the law of doesn't actually make it a true phenomenon. Because all I need to do is say Hiroshima, Japan, August the 6th, 1945. Mass is not conserved. And in fact, the laws of conservation were first put together by Emily Noether in the last century. And she was a brilliant mathematician and scientist who came up with the mathematical underpinnings and truth of the laws of conservation in physics as we understand them. They remain unchallenged to this date. They've been added to a bit, sure, since her time. However, she never said mass is conserved. She said energy is conserved. Mass is a form of energy, absolutely. Mass is conserved in chemical equations, so they say. That's actually not strictly correct either, but that's for another day. That's when we get into a discussion with James de Nicoli, no ideas about the conservation of mass and all of that and chemical equilibria, which he doesn't understand. So just because something is written on paper doesn't make it correct.
And my generation now, if they see well, I guess you could say this for everybody, but especially my age cohort and younger, if something just pops up on the screen or if you ask ChatGPT, no matter, right, because often ChatGPT now is pulling from Reddit as like a source. People don't seem to understand that.
Yeah.
And they'll say, oh, it says right here. And then, they can't go any deeper than that. So they say, oh, but it says right here. So that's how somebody we've listed off a number of goobers so far,
Yeah.
pseudoscientific people. That's what essentially, well, Israetel doesn't cite anything, as we know. At least some people will they'll pretend to cite something, or they will very erroneously cite something, at least,
Yes.
right? I guess that's
Yep.
better than nothing.
Yep, absolutely. Stomp and Based, how do you find my papers and qualifications? In terms of my peer-reviewed publications in the name of one BK, you will find those by going to your favourite academic search engine of your choice. They're not even hard to find. To find my qualifications, well, that's none of your business. As I've already said in the discussion so far, I'm not applying for a job from you. I'm just telling you things, and you can take them at face value or disregard them if you like. What you will find is a number of papers in my name that, I'll give you an example. There was a paper published in 2018 by myself, and also a very hot and very intelligent young Swedish scientist named of Pim Jansson, who also happens to be my partner, but that's for another day. And we did this work where we were looking at omega-3 oils and finding very, very dangerous oxidation products in those omega-3 oils. And on the front page of that paper, it says I have an MSc, which is fascinating because, as I said, I hold a number of advanced research degrees, and MSc is not fucking one of them. So
How did that end up there then? How did that happen?
That would seem to be a clerical error from the journal concerned. I've asked them to correct it a number of times and they won't.
So they didn't even upload the right draft. See, this is still a problem. This is crazy.
Well, but it's not about draft because I've never claimed to hold an MSc. I don't.
Yeah.
Or in the US, that's called an MS,
Right.
which is a generic science master's degree. I don't hold one of those. I never have.
Yeah, Greg Doucette has a master's. If we want to go back to the credentials topic, that shows you who can get that as well.
Well, you know, he's very credible. He's another calories in, calories out buffoon, and also a peddler of dangerous PEDs, allegedly.
Well,
proven.
Yeah, right. Like not even just talking of, like he actually has moved this stuff, and then, well, that gets. We're at the point now in the industry where like Greg can look like a good guy, like that's how bad this is.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
he makes fun of Mike, rightfully so, you know.
Yeah.
But we're in so deep now. Like he's one of the guys that calls out the BS, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
The bar is in hell. That's how low it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Jesus, Dev, are you still with us? I thought you'd passed away. I sent flowers to your wife, your lovely wife. Apparently, you're still alive. I haven't seen or heard from you forever. Where the fuck have you been, son? You've been AWOL. Soldier. Nice to see you, mate. Sorry, Matt. Also, Harry Sopanos in the house, the King of Tasmania. We love us some Harry Sopanos up in here. I found most of your research on ResearchGate. Well, actually, Harry, you didn't. If you found a bunch of research in the name of one K, B, you found a small portion of my research. Because here's the thing. Oh, I've said enough. I have more than one legal identity. I've had several disjointed academic careers over a 20-year period, and maybe I wasn't calling myself by this name all the time. Maybe there was a reason for disjointing those. Yeah. So no, you didn't find most of my research at all.
Oh man, see now they're gonna say you're being too sneaky. This is suspicious.
Couldn't give two fucks, Matt. Really, I could not care less. I'm not applying for a job. I have nothing to prove except that I'm unassailable on any topic that I care to debate anybody on or to critique anybody on. And I'm quite happy to go toe-to-toe with absolutely anybody on the planet on the stuff that I am an expert in, and I will tear you seven, you assholes.
Yeah, it's not gone well for your opponents. Well, Lane Morton was supposed to debate Paul Mason, I think, right? And that just it just fell through. Which I'm sure Lane was like, "Oh, I can't do it for some reason," because Lane would have no chance in that. He's done that with a number of people. Something I noticed, you could put Doctor in front of your name though, if I'm not mistaken. Which that's one of Mike's, right? Dr. Mike. That's like the whole aura.
Yes, I absolutely could do that, but I choose not to. I think it's disingenuous. Frankly. Yeah.
Why exactly? Is it like the medical credential that comes with it, or is it just something you don't feel like, because it becomes the appeal to authority immediately?
Right. Okay. The legal situation in most Western countries is that any person with or without any qualifications at any level whatsoever, is legally entitled to use the title doctor should they see fit. So long as they don't claim to have a qualification that they don't have, there's no problem with that. So you could be Dr. Revival anytime you like.
I got to start doing that. Actually, it's perfect. It's
This
my
is Dr. Revival.
it's like Ted. Fee, fi, fo. It's my preferred pronouns. I would go by doctor. Yeah.
That's right. Okay, absolutely. So you're quite legally entitled to do so, I believe, in the States, as you are in the UK, as you are in Australia, as you are in New Zealand. Okay. However, the usual situation is that someone calling themselves doctor in an academic sense is generally expected to be the holder of a PhD or similar level qualification, or in the medical field, they are expected to hold some doctoral level qualification in medicine, i.e. medical doctor, MD, or in the States, for some reason, DO is seen as equivalent. Fucking isn't, but it's seen that way for whatever reason. Sorry, osteopaths, if that offended you, I couldn't care less. Your qualification is not equivalent to that of an MD. But that's probably a good thing, because MD qualifications, that's for another day as well.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I don't do that is because I don't want to imply that I am a medical doctor. And that's what people will assume. And I don't, given that it means nothing, because anyone can say, I'm a doctor, my name is Dr. such and such. I mean, so what? The more impressive credential, if you like, is actually a rank in academia and not a qualification. In academia, you start out as a graduate teaching assistant, and then you become a tutor, and then you become a senior tutor, presuming you go through all these levels. You can jump in higher, obviously. Then you become a lecturer, then you become a senior lecturer, then you become an associate or assistant professor, and then, if you're deemed to be at a level that deserves it, you get called professor by the institution which employs you. The final institution that employed me before I left academia permanently conferred upon me a professorship, which is the highest rank in academia that you can achieve. So I'd prefer to use that instead of doctor, which means nothing. That said, anybody whatsoever is allowed to call themselves professor as well. That's also not a controlled title.
Yeah.
So long as you don't claim to have a qualification that you do not have, there's no problem with that legally whatsoever. So you indeed could be Dr. Professor Revival if you like. I think you should, but that's just me.
I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, there's still people in his own comment section, because it's one of those things where if you're not aware of this, they actually believe, well, they think he's a medical doctor, which we know a lot of that is really just essentially if then, right? If they have this symptom, then prescribe this.
Yeah.
But that holds a lot of weight with people. But in terms of the title itself, I saw someone in the chat asking, right here, I don't think they would revoke it in hindsight, but did he commit I don't know if he did anything wrong legally, but this is academic malpractice at the highest level, is it not?
Yes, look, it's academic malpractice, but in fact it's on the university that conferred that qualification upon Mike Israetel. They should not have done so. It should not have passed. Mike did nothing wrong by accepting the certificate and accepting the title that comes along with it, Dr. Mike Israetel. But what he did do wrong is everything that came out of his mouth ever since then, it seems.
Yeah.
All he did ever since then is prove himself again and again and again to be an incompetent charlatan, an imbecile, actually, not to mention a boy with a very, very serious ego and arrogance problem.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I actually don't give rip-roaring shit whether he's got a PhD or not, or whether anyone's got one or not, actually. What, again, as I've said already, and I'll say it again, what I'm interested in is what comes out of somebody's mouth. Is it correct? Is it unassailable? Is it demonstrably factual? Or is it fallacious nonsense? That's my whole shtick on that. People say my whole shtick is being rude and arrogant, and, well, I'm not arrogant, because arrogant, if you look it up, the definition of that is, inappropriate over self-confidence. No, I have the runs on the board. I know what I'm talking about, and as I say, I'm happy to go toe-to-toe with anybody. And hopefully they do a better job than Richard Burgess at trying to take me down, for fuck's sake. Oh my God, that was hilarious. Anyway, that's for another day too. Yeah, so that's what it's about. It's about what do people say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just fun to rag on Mike, the quality of Mike's PhD, because he claims to have this remarkable. He claims to have an IQ higher than both Einstein and Stephen Hawking.
Oh, did
No,
you hear him
don't,
talk?
Mike
You heard
Israetel.
him. He talked about Stephen Hawking too, and of course he made the Epstein Island joke immediately because that's his gag.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, right. Nobody's wrong about everything. That's another straw man. They say, "Oh, what do you mean? He's helped my training." I'm like, okay, that's possible that he has, but you can't have both these things to be true at the same time. That somebody is this god level intellect, but then also can't spell, can't type, copy and paste errors, very boring, really non-contributory research, and then also, like we said too, I've heard him say, I've watched a number of his videos. You have as well. I mean, beyond not even citing any papers, you can tell, and I think a lot of other PhDs fit this too. When you hear them talk, it's clear they're completely spitballing what they say. They have nothing. They're just going off the dome, and then it's like, okay, well, sure, yeah, and they'll just go on, and then they'll kind of segue, and then the host will jump in, that type of thing. And then they have essentially there's like no real basis for what they say beyond, okay, maybe a citation here and there that nobody's ever actually going to look into.
Exactly. Yeah. Apparently, Gemma thinks I'm a lunatic. And
What do you
apparently
think?
I am too.
Well, I mean,
I don't care.
I wouldn't go that far. You are the commander of a militia, which that some people might see that as a little overboard, but
A little despotic, perhaps?
yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm certainly not a lunatic. I'm actually probably about the sanest person you could come across, I think. Anyway, that's for another day. I do have this affectation that I play this character online a bit, and I do tend to be as abrasive and challenging as possible, Gemma, but no, I'm not a lunatic, I don't think. Anyway, yeah.
Well, the online persona is funny too because I wouldn't say mine is that extreme, but people think I'm always angry. Maybe it's just how I look or how I speak. You're so upset. I'm like, I'm really not. I've talked to you, right? Me and you were talking now. You're not this. People seem to think that you are just like raging, foaming at the mouth all the time.
Yep. Yep. Oh, people often ask my dear partner that I referred to earlier, they often say to her, how do you live with him? And she's like, you fucking idiot.
Right.
Do you think I would if he really was that way in real life? Mm-hmm. She says, don't get me wrong, he is a dick. But that's nothing to do with what,
Of course.
Yeah. Of course
This is an interesting comment from Johnny. Can someone please review Lame Norton's PhD? Have you ever seen that? I have not.
I haven't. I have not. No, I haven't.
I don't know what it's even about, but
no, I don't either.
Would you? Do you want to? I mean, you'd be the best one to do so if you want to tear into it one day. But
maybe I will. I believe his PhD is in human nutrition, which stuns me, frankly, considering he doesn't understand or can't correctly state the first law of thermodynamics or apply it correctly in the objective reality in which we find ourselves.
He's got a lot. Yeah, epidemiology is his ride or die, and then that's pretty
right.
much. Yep.
See, I mean, one of my tickets here, one of my shtucks, is, and it's not just for comedy. It's because it's so. Is to state that epidemiology is not science. It is unable to inform us on cause nor effect in terms of hard health outcomes in human beings over any period of time. It's rubbish. It's nonsense. It's ill-disciplined claptrap. And if you want to put that forward as proof and absolute proof of anything, that's even worse, really, than not knowing first principles. I mean, to hold a PhD and state that you're some kind of expert in a field, which is supposedly based on a number of first principles, if you can't even state what those first principles are correctly, do you have any business calling yourself a PhD in that field, even though you may hold the certificate? Yeah. I don't think so, personally.
That's the thing. It's like the ultimate get out of jail card, the titles, because anybody can get out of it because, how could you go again? Everybody hates the appeal to authority until it's someone they like or they can apply it themselves.
Yeah.
Then it's all the ultimate trump card.
Yeah. Yeah. There it is. All right. Yes, it would be a good title for a video, I suppose. Lame PhD.
Lane is, I think he's I don't know. I don't know how friendly he is with Mike, but Jeff Nippard, he's talked to all. He's like he's like the most friendly little. We know what his voice sounds like. I don't. That's a whole nother issue. But he's very friendly with everybody. But what I noticed with there's all these sides of like the so-called science now in the fitness industry, right? You've got like the Israetel side; they're all about X traits with training. Then the other side, they're more like, they have their differing opinions, but they both all converge. I notice, no matter how much they disagree about sets, reps, volume, intensity, any of it, when it comes to nutrition, they all go right to the same thing: lean protein, have to have a bunch of carbs, carnivore terrible. Yeah. Seed oil's good fat source because the guidelines say so. Epidemiology, they all go right to that same thing.
Yeah, and calories in, calories out, bro.
Well, you have. I mean, the PhDs essentially. That's essentially their entire argument. They don't say anything else.
Yeah,
that's what they have. I mean, I saw even like what's the Dr. Ids? You've heard of him, I'm sure, right?
Yes, offensive. Absolutely offensive.
He's brutal. Matthew Nagra, have you heard of him too?
Yes, also offensive and stupid. Yes.
I guess they know Israetel because they were in his comment section they're like, this is unacceptable. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, it is. But I'm like, if you live in a glass house to the level of Ids, throwing stones, it's like, holy heck, man. I mean, just like there's no bottom anywhere, it seems to me.
Exactly, yep. So, I mean, to me, 20-something years ago when I entered academia, I had respect for the qualification PhD. I had respect for people that held a PhD. I felt at that stage like it was a decent qualification that gave a good grounding, and the training was not just in being correct, but also in showing scientific discipline, controlling what you say, remaining within the realms of what you're expert in, and all of that. And it just devolved and devolved and devolved over the 2+ decades that I was involved in the industry, to the point now where I really genuinely believe that 9 times out of 10, perhaps, a PhD certificate is every child wins a prize. They are absolutely so watered down in terms of the quality of the things now, again, because of the student satisfaction thing. How much did you like your supervisor? That actually, you've got clowns like Israetel, PhD, who, like, there's no question here, absolutely no question whatsoever, that PhD should never have been conferred, not in a purple fit. All right? I suspect that we would find similar quality issues in some of the PhD theses by folks like Lame Norton. Yeah. I don't know for a fact. I'm quite happy to look at it and see. Guys like Ids, well, he's a medical doctor. He doesn't even have a PhD. So him commenting on other PhDs, quality of their PhDs, well, he's right. In this respect, he's right. Israetel's PhD is a piece of shit. It's nonsense. All right.
Which so a high schooler could determine that. So it's not like it's some, Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. But everything else that Ids has to say is wrong. So, look, a broken clock is right twice a day, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess.
Dr. Ids also called out. Didn't he claim Anthony Chafee wasn't an actual medical doctor, and then he had to walk it back as he was about to get sued?
Correct. Yes, because Anthony Chafee is a neurosurgeon working in Perth, Australia. Mm-hmm. He absolutely is. I've met him several times in the real life, off the interwebs. We've had a meal together, several in fact. We did a live conference together, him and I and several others in Adelaide, South Australia, a bit back, a year and a bit ago. He's a good bloke. Good bloke, and a real bona fide doctor.
Yeah. Do you think academia is redeemable at this point, or do you think it's just too far gone? Do you think there's any hope of, I don't know, fixing this to some extent, or is it just going to continually snowball?
There were several reasons that I left academia. Among them was my firmly held belief by that stage, it was 2018, I think, give or take, that I said, no, that's enough, I'm hanging up my boots here, I'm done. I believed it to be irredeemable at that point, and I believe it's slid still further since then, and I believe it will continue to slide still further, in line with the self-destructive slide of our Western society at large into a cesspit, frankly. And I think that the tertiary education sector, the post-secondary, post-high school education sector, not only haven't helped in this regard, I think they've been absolutely complicit in brainwashing folks to go this way. They have been part of this machinery, absolutely complicit.
Yeah, I think they've accelerated it, yeah.
Yeah. My short answer to your question is absolutely irredeemable. Academia is an absolute farce and a joke.
Damn. So there's no. Maybe it seems in general the public seems to be just collectively, even outside of health and fitness and all this stuff, because we saw what happened in recent years. I'll leave it there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
A lot of the trust, I think, really eroded then, and then we're at the point now where people, like, if somebody has a qualification, everybody's happy to call them out. Like, there's still going to be a sect of the population by default that goes, oh, but they have X, Y, or Z. But a lot of people now, I think, have the tide is noticeably turned, in my estimation.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. So given peer reviewers can be bought for as little as $10,000, geez, cheaper than that too. That's quite a big payoff for a peer reviewer. Science and nutrition isn't about substance. Correct. It's about who pays for what. Yep. Just go straight to the back page and see who funded it. Yeah, it's not a bad place to start. I've got a video up on my channel which says, look, there are 5 questions you should ask yourself every time you are offered a paper that absolutely proves X, Y, or Z about human health outcomes as it relates to any aspect of nutrition or any of these things. 5 questions. And I suggest that folks, once they've seen this enlightened discussion, they should probably go and have a look at that video. Because if you understand these 5 questions and you can apply these 5 questions, both to yourself when you're thinking about whether this paper that you've been offered is worth the paper it's written on, or indeed if you're in a debate situation, you can use it there as well. You can ask these 5 questions and you will win that debate every time, because these papers all fail at least one, if not all 5 of the questions which I pose in order to challenge the veracity, validity, and utility of papers that purport to be able to tell us what we should do in terms of nutrition and health and whatever else. So
that's one of the biggest problems, because, I mean, if you actually, most of these papers, I mean, especially epidemiology, you read it for 20 seconds, you're like, okay, this is a pile of crap as it is. Most people now, you could probably say even back in time too, but especially now with the attention span, nobody reads anything. All they want is citation, highlight, graphic, and then that they're done. I don't. That alone also, I think, is a massive problem, because you have to essentially get people's attention span long enough to actually read something. Then they have to critically think about what they're actually reading. Those 2 steps alone, 9 out of 10 people, that's a big ask.
Yep. Just to get someone's attention span on something long enough so that they can even understand that just because you have a peer-reviewed citation to a paper, that doesn't actually give you any points in a debate or discussion. Actually, none at all.
Yep, that's a big problem. Yeah.
I mean, I'm always saying to people, hey, listen, if you want to cite something at me, you need to be prepared to sit down with me for half an hour so that we can go through this thing that you've just cited at me, so that we can see what's wrong with it. Because I bet it's going to be all 5 at some point. Example, I did a live review of a nut nibbling Nicky Nitlitz and his nonsense.
He's a character, isn't he? That guy.
MD PhD, so he's got all the bits of paper. And then he was talking about, oh look, here's this one study I've read that's changed my mind about fibre altogether. He said.
I watched it yesterday. Yeah,
and I thought, that's interesting.
The mouse study, right?
Right, and then he says, oh, blah, 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 and then he started talking about the study, and he said, such and such a diet was fed to mice.
Yeah.
Well, are we done? Yeah, we
And
don't.
then what
'Cause
was
I'm
his
not a mouse?
what was his rationale? He was like, this paper found given benefits of inulin, so I'm incorporating inulin. Essentially, it's what would you call this type of so-called science? It's like new paper. Oh, you have to
Yep.
do what it says because it just says it.
Well, someone, whether they've got any bits of paper or not, and let's give him his dues. Nick Norwitz has a PhD and an MD qualification, although he's never practiced medicine and it looks like he's never going to, but that's for another day. This, he makes a video and people think that he's got credibility, A, because he's personable and people think he's nice and funny.
If I
and
can
B,
jump in real
yeah,
quick.
please. Yep, go on.
He reminds me of Jeff Nippert a lot.
Okay.
And very
right.
friendly, very both
Yeah.
sides, happy,
Yeah.
that type. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that said, fair comment, and thanks for that. He says, I read this paper where they fed some mices and mices, some inulin, and there seems to have been an inoculation against the problems of feeding fructose. Ergo, him, is going to add inulin to his diet, and this is how he's going to do it. Well, number one, you're not a mouse. So this is ridiculous. Number two, why would you need to inoculate yourself against fructose when the way to avoid the problems of eating fructose is not to fucking do it?
And he doesn't even eat that much. From what I can tell, he doesn't even really eat any. So it's almost like it's like he's fixing a problem that isn't even existent, or maybe he'll provide the problem. Then you can fix
maybe
it.
that's his. What the hell am I going to make a video about this week?
That's another thing too. I mean, if you do like so-called science-based content, anytime there's a paper, I mean, that's essentially whatever paper you find, you have to say, oh, hey, new study. That's all. Those two words mean a lot. New study.
New study. Science shows.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there it is. Okay, I've got to race off to the next thing. I'm a very popular man, You
are.
Yeah. So look. Thanks for your time. I appreciate you filling us in and bringing us all up to speed on the Mike Israetel drama. Basically, the thesis, the dissertation, is a piece of shit. It should never have passed. It reflects very poorly on Mike himself. It reflects even worse on the university that conferred the degree upon him. He dealt with being caught out on that by lying, outright lying, not even a very sophisticated lie, a lie that fell to bits within a day, and had all his cronies come on board and beat their chests and also lie, so they look good too, It looks really, really bad. It really looks very, very bad indeed. Yes.
Yeah, I think he's too big to fail ultimately, but maybe this will put at least some dent in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? All right. Well, that being the case, join us next time when someone will be wrong on the interwebs, because it doesn't look like slowing down anytime soon. Thanks once again for joining us, Revival.
Thank you.
Tell us where people find you on the YouTubes and wherever else.
Yes, YouTube, Revival Fitness, Instagram, _Revival Fitness. I'm talking copious amounts of shit on the internet all the time. So
Excellent. Very, very good. All right, so anybody that has had your head somewhere warm and moist and doesn't know where to find Revival Fitness, there you go. Go and sub over there. Do that right now. And then come back and watch my video about 5 questions you should ask yourself anytime someone says this paper absolutely proves or shows such and such. All right? Very
Thank you.
good. All right, see you soon. Be good, everybody.